So we have to draw a diagram showing the setup for electrolysis. There's 2 marks. So what you need to do in here is make sure you have got both your anode and cathode labeled, and make sure you've got power and the electrodes are in the electrolyte, and make sure you've got your power supply, and the power supply is connected fully to the circuit to make the circuit complete. So 1 mark for each of those 2 points. Next one, before electrolysis is carried out, the mass of the electrode is determined. Describe what should be done. So what you would do is, first of all, you would clean the electrodes with emery paper, like sandpaper, something similar, not too rough, just to get rid of any dirt that might interfere with the connection. And that is, they want us to explain why, so that is to remove any surface impurities, anything that could get in the way of making the circuit. 1 mark for each of those. And we then got a table, and the table shows us that at the, let's do the cathode first. So the cathode has gone from this mass to this mass, and therefore the mass has increased, whereas the anode has actually gone from this mass to this mass, showing that the mass has decreased. Explain in terms of ions the changes in mass. Okay, so let's deal with the cathode first. So the cathode, the mass has increased. Why has it increased? Because we have had copper ions heading to the cathode. They gain electrons and they become copper atoms. Okay, so let's put that into words. So we have got copper ions move to the cathode, they gain electrons to form new copper atoms. So that means the mass increases. So the mass is going to increase. If we compare that to the anode where the mass is decreasing, what we need to say here is that the copper forms copper ions, and it does that by losing electrons, and therefore we are losing copper atoms. So copper atoms form ions by losing electrons, and what happens there is the mass decreases because we are losing the copper atoms. In electrolysis, repeated using other pair of copper electrodes, state the change that could be made to the electrolysis experiment in order cause the cathode mass to increase. So if we have a quick look at this, we had a mass initially of 0.78, and what they're trying to do, let's just work that out. They want it to go to 2.34 divided by 0.78. So that's actually, they want that to increase by 3 times. So if we're going to increase the mass by 3 times, so mass increases by 3 times the mass, then what we would need to do is have 3 times the current, 3 times the current passing through the circuit. 2 marks, 1 mark for each line.